10 minutes of rereading can teach you less than one uncomfortable attempt to remember. Stopping before your attention collapses can help you work longer, and moving your phone a few feet away can sometimes help more than promising yourself you will ignore it. That sounds backward, only if you assume a better working mind always needs more effort. Often, it needs fewer small obstacles. These 12 tiny habits change what your attention, memory, and self-control have to fight before the real work even begins. Choose one visible next step. Work on the project. Sounds like an instruction, but it still leaves the most important decision unresolved. What should you do first? When the next action is vague, the mind has to define the task before it can perform the task. That extra layer may be small, but it creates a convenient place to hesitate, reorganize, or open another tab. Replace the broad goal with one action you can see yourself completing. Send the first invoice. Call the clinic. Write 3 bullet points. Compare the final 2 numbers. The action should be specific enough that you know where your hands go next. It does not need to finish the whole problem. It only needs to remove the decision that stands between you and the first minute of work. The task may still be difficult, but difficulty is easier to face once the starting point is no longer hidden. Make distraction slightly inconvenient. A phone beside your hand does not need to ring to compete for attention. Its presence can become another cue to check, especially when checking has become automatic. The same thing can happen with a social tab left open, an inbox refreshing in the corner, or an app placed exactly where your thumb expects it. Make the distracting action slightly harder. Put the phone across the room. Sign out of the site you visit automatically. Close the tab after using it. Turn off notifications that rarely contain anything urgent. You are not trying to build a perfect environment or eliminate every impulse. You are adding a few seconds between the urge and the action. That delay gives the first impulse time to weaken. It also reduces how often self-control has to answer the same question. You still have to choose. You just face the choice less often. Rest before attention collapses. Many people wait until they have read the same sentence 4 times before admitting that the work has stopped. By then, the break has already begun. Their eyes are still moving, but very little is being encoded, compared, or understood. Pause earlier, stand up, look into the distance, refill your water, let your eyes rest. For a brief moment, reduce the amount of information arriving instead of replacing one stream with another. Scrolling feels different from work because the content changes quickly, but attention is still selecting, reacting, and preparing for the next item. It may change the subject without giving attention the same kind of pause. A short, low-input pause does not magically restore unlimited focus. Its value is smaller and more practical. It interrupts the slide from effort into empty repetition. The useful moment to rest is often earlier than people think, before several minutes have been spent pretending to continue. Leave yourself a return cue. Before an interruption pulls you away from unfinished work, leave one sentence showing exactly where to return. Next, compare the final 2 columns. I still need to explain why the second example matters. After a switch, you may remember the general task, but lose the narrow edge of the thought, the sentence you were testing, the number you were checking, or the question that had just become clear. Returning then requires more than reopening the file. You have to reconstruct the local context. A return cue preserves part of that context outside your head. It does not summarize the whole project, it marks the point where attention should land first. This is especially useful when the interruption is unavoidable. The note gives you a clear place to resume. Let the outside world remember for you. Working memory is useful for holding a small amount of information while you actively use it. It is a poor storage system for every appointment, unpaid bill, future errand, unfinished idea, and object you need to find tomorrow. Some information deserves to leave your head. A calendar can hold events. A short list can hold actions. Stable locations can hold the question of where an object belongs. An idea can be captured once instead of rehearsed all afternoon out of fear that it will disappear. This is a form of cognitive offloading. Notes, tools, and physical locations carry information that your mind does not need to keep active every minute. The important word is reliable. A reminder system only reduces mental load when you trust yourself to check it. Your mind still has to decide what matters. It just no longer has to keep every unfinished intention active at once. Use movement to change your mental state. When the mind feels flat, restless, or stuck, pushing harder is not always the best first move. Sometimes it helps to change what the body is doing. Walk around the room, stretch, climb a few stairs. A short period of movement can support alertness for some people and make it easier to re-engage with work that had begun to feel mentally distant. Walking may be especially useful when the task is to generate possibilities rather than select one exact answer. Research has linked walking with improvements in divergent thinking, the kind of thinking used to produce multiple ideas or unusual connections. That does not mean every mental task improves while you move. Use movement to loosen the search for options. Then stop and evaluate which options survive closer inspection. Generating ideas and judging ideas are different jobs. A small change in physical state can help you move from one to the other instead of demanding both from a mind that has gone still. Give your body clock a morning signal. Your body estimates the time of day from recurring signals, especially light and sleep timing. Outdoor light early in your usual day is generally a stronger timing cue than ordinary indoor lighting. When possible, spend a few minutes outside or take a short walk after waking. A reasonably stable wake time adds another consistent cue. It does not need to be exact to the minute or unusually early. The useful part is avoiding large, unpredictable shifts from one day to the next. These habits cannot replace missing sleep or make everyone feel instantly alert. They simply make the daily timing pattern less uncertain, which can support a steadier sleep-wake rhythm over time. Give the feeling a more precise name. I feel bad may be true, but it is often too vague to guide the next decision. Bad could mean irritated, embarrassed, threatened, disappointed, jealous, lonely, overwhelmed, restless, or exhausted. Those states may overlap, but they do not point toward the same problem. Try giving the feeling a more precise name. Putting an emotion into words can create a little distance from the immediate rush of it. Instead of being surrounded by one large sense that something is wrong, you now have a more specific experience to examine. The label does not erase the feeling. It also does not prove that your first interpretation is correct. Feeling rejected does not automatically mean someone rejected you. Feeling threatened does not guarantee that danger is present. Feeling angry may sometimes be easier to notice than the embarrassment beneath it. A better label gives you a better question. Is there a real problem that needs action? Am I expecting judgment? Am I overloaded? Or am I simply exhausted? You can revise the name later. The point is to begin with something more useful than bad. Create 1 second before reacting. Before sending the message, raising your voice, or making a decision while irritated, slow down for 1 breath. 1 breath will not solve the disagreement. It creates a small gap between the first surge and the action that follows it. High arousal can make the present moment feel unusually urgent. The body prepares to respond, attention narrows, and the quickest interpretation starts to feel like the only obvious one. The pause lets you notice that shift. Your jaw may be tight. Your heartbeat may be faster. A sentence that would normally seem annoying may suddenly feel intolerable. If you continue breathing a little more slowly for a few moments, physical arousal may also begin to settle for some people. Some situations really do require a fast and clear response. The habit is not about becoming passive. It is about preventing the first wave of activation from choosing the exact words, volume, or consequence before the rest of your mind has caught up. The pause cannot guarantee a wise response. It gives one a chance to exist. Recall before you reread. Rereading is easiest when the page is still doing most of the work. Close it. Then ask what the 3 main ideas were. Recreate the sequence. Write the definition from memory. Explain the example without looking. You may discover that very little appears. That feels worse than rereading because rereading produces familiarity. The words look recognizable, and recognition can be mistaken for knowledge. But recognizing an answer when it is present is different from producing it when the page is gone. Trying to recall information makes the memory do more of the work. It can strengthen later access and expose gaps that passive review allows to remain hidden. Failure is useful here when it is followed by correction. Check the source, repair what was missing, and try to retrieve it again. Rereading asks, does this look familiar? Recall asks, can I find it when I actually need it? Return after a delay. A memory that works only while the material is still fresh has not been tested very far. Let some time pass before trying to retrieve it again. Immediate repetition feels productive because the material is still active, and the next attempt is easy partly because the previous one has not had time to fade. Spacing removes some of that temporary support. Now the mind has to reconstruct more of the information instead of simply following a path that is still warm. That harder feeling can be misleading. Easy review does not always produce durable memory. Difficult retrieval does not automatically mean poor learning. There is no single perfect interval for every subject. The useful gap depends on the complexity of the material and how long you need to remember it. The delay should make retrieval less automatic without turning every review into a complete restart. Learn, wait, retrieve, correct, and return again. The goal is to recall the material after the original context is gone. Test your understanding before checking. Before you look at the answer, make your own thinking visible. Predict what the graph will do. Explain the idea in plain language. Choose the solution you expect to work and give one reason why. Then check. These are different tasks, but they share. One habit: produce a model before feedback arrives. Without that step, a correct explanation can feel obvious the moment you see it. The mind is very good at fitting a story around an answer that is already present. That feeling of obviousness can hide the fact that you would not have generated the answer yourself. Committing to a prediction creates something concrete to compare with reality. If your explanation breaks halfway through, you have found a gap inside the model. If your prediction fails, you have found a gap between the model and what actually happens. The mismatch may feel uncomfortable, but it is useful information. It tells you exactly where understanding needs to change. Do not wait for the answer to make your thinking look complete. Give your mind a chance to reveal what it believed before the correction arrived. None of these habits makes attention permanent, memory flawless, or difficult work easy. Their advantage is quieter. They remove small obstacles before those obstacles become hesitation, overload, or false confidence. A mind that works better is not always a more powerful one. Often, it is simply wasting less effort.